Hello and welcome to the Eating Disorder Therapist podcast. I'm Harriet Frew, eating disorder therapist, here to support you in overcoming disordered eating and finding peace with food. So thank you so much for listening today. Now today I want to talk all about relationships and when food is filling that void in your life, where food has perhaps become the number one thing, the safe thing, the thing that provides comfort, soothing, all the things that food should provide us with, because food is meant to be something that is enjoyable and soothing and part of life. But sometimes when we have an eating disorder or disordered eating, food has taken on too much importance. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this. So, when food is your best friend, food offers comfort, safety, and it's yours alone to control. So whether you're restricting, binge eating, or emotionally soothing, it's reliable and known, and it can become your most valued relationship. Now, this is not by conscious choice, but often, it begins as a survival strategy when real life relationships haven't been able to meet your needs. And you may be surrounded by people who love you and you love back. However, you may not feel deeply seen, known, and understood. And in truth, you might feel quite isolated and alone. And not because other people don't care, rather maybe because your relationships tend to follow patterns of connection. Now, if you have an eating disorder, you're likely a super empath. You're deeply tuned to the feelings of others. You walk into a room and you can sense how someone is doing before they vocalize a word. You're adept at listening, asking open questions. Other people probably share with you with ease and flow, appreciating your warmth and responding by filling the space. You listen, you reflect, you pour your resources outwards. But you probably don't tend to reciprocally share your vulnerabilities. So if someone asks about your life, you swiftly divert the conversation back to them. You don't want to burden others or be too much, as this feels unsafe. And there's probably good reasons for this. Maybe you've had difficult relationships in the past, so it feels impossible to trust that others can show up for you. And perhaps others have been over controlling, intrusive, or simply uninterested, so you hold your authentic self back. You don't want to repeat those patterns. And maybe you have no idea who you are and who your authentic self is. You're so used to pushing down your thoughts and feelings, so you don't know who you are anymore. You're out of touch with your thoughts and feelings. You don't know how you feel. And your head is maybe a blur of food noise and body preoccupation that's stolen your identity. But when you're always the listener, relationships become exhausting. And although you're connecting to others, you feel increasingly unseen and alone. So let's talk about the wonderful benefits of healthy reciprocal relationships. Now, I always say to all my clients, relationships are the road to healing. And I mean healthy relationships, not just any old relationships. In my own recovery, and to this very day, friendship has been at the forefront of my healing path. And this means for me deep, intimate sharing with another who is also on their own journey. And for me, this is always profoundly life-changing. It's something to this day, where I will really openly share with two people really in my life on a regular basis who really know me from the inside out. So I've recovered from bulimia for over 20 years now, but I continue to share with close friends about the ups and downs of daily life. So active listening, reflecting, encouraging, loving, challenging, mirroring, supporting. Healthy relationships provide a wonderful container for both healing and living. So what about you? Do you have a template and understanding for balanced and supportive relationships? Healthy relationships involve a reciprocal interaction, so two ways, where there's a mutual understanding and respect. And in these relationships, you can be honest and open about yourself and about your life. And this trust, though, is built incrementally over time. It's not something that can just be manufactured quickly. It takes time to build as the relationship builds and flourishes. Now, what's really important as well is these relationships are mutually enjoyable for both parties rather than a one-sided sapping of energy. Now, I always notice when I'm in relationship with anyone, how do I feel in that interaction when I come away from that interaction? Do I feel energized? Do I feel inspired? Do I feel motivated? Do I feel really connected? Or do I come away and do I feel drained? Do I feel that, actually it's taken a lot out of me? Now, I guess our healthy relationships are supportive and encouraging in the main. So you want to feel that your friend has your back and deeply wants the best for you. They're not competitive or denigrating you in any way. And I think what's really important in relationships as well is that they're fun and easy and that we can laugh together. So important. And healthy relationships allow disagreements and different points of view, as not every human will view the world in the same way. And there is shared growth with compassion and forgiveness as well for each other's imperfections and quirks. So I would encourage you just to start to notice in your life where you have these valuable connections and where you don't. Okay, now what's really important here as well is I think just to face the reality of things, because sometimes we can think, well, this is a family member, so I should feel that it's a reciprocal, really bonded, close relationship. Or this person's been in my life since I was 7. So, of course, they're such an important person to me. But it's really important just to really notice how you feel in your relationships. That is the reality of things. And to really notice where you feel you can be yourself and where you can't be. Also to reflect on, where are you giving too much and feeling profoundly unseen in relationships? You might have some relationships in your life where you feel like, well, that person knows everything about me. I know everything about them, but they know nothing about me. So that's probably a little kind of flag there, maybe, that the relationship is a bit one-sided. And if you're struggling, if you're listening and thinking, oh my God, I just don't have many relationships like this, start to think about how could you foster more reciprocal relationships with that connection and authenticity. And I guess when I think about my most close friends, I've usually met them initially through some shared connection, whether that be a fitness thing or whether it be through personal development or a course or something. That is usually, or even the eating disorder space. I have some really good friends, other people that work in the eating disorder space as therapists and coaches, where I'm very connected and bonded to them because we have this shared interest in supporting others. So the profound benefits as well of high quality friendship, why bother in the first place? I guess the first one is greater well-being. Great relationships can make you feel extremely good. I sort of think about my day-to-day life. The relationships really in my life are the places where I really get the joy. And sometimes it's about being able to talk about deep and difficult things, sometimes about deep and non-difficult things, but sometimes it's just about the silliness, the kind of playfulness, the connection, the sharing of shared goals and understanding, and someone just getting you and being able to connect with you. So great relationships can make you feel really good, peaceful, calm, understood, loved, seen, valued, supported, loved. The list goes on. And being in the presence of someone who deeply cares about you brings a sense of peace and contentment and a surge of oxytocin, which fosters trust, intimacy, and affection. And this also reduces stress and improves mood. Laughing with another boosts the release of endorphins and increases the intake of oxygen-rich air. It feels delightful. Quality connections absolutely protect against loneliness. The next one, self-worth. Feeling valued and appreciated by those you love brings a warm sense of self-value and self-worth. And this can bring a greater sense of purpose and belonging as well, which can be wonderful, which is vital for human beings. We need to feel a sense of belonging and that we kind of fit in and we have some roots and that we have that sort of container in our lives. That makes us feel worthy and, that we have value. Next one, emotional support. So you can lean on your friends in difficult times, talking about your feelings and being heard. And a friend can offer a consolatory hug or text encouragement on a down day. Then there's the physical benefits. Quality relationships foster a longer lifespan, and it's no surprise that centenarians always have a close network of support around them. If you haven't watched the Netflix documentary about the centenarians, the people that live to 100, have a watch. It's quite insightful, really, just to really understand what helps people live a long life. And it's so much about relationships and purpose. It's not all about kind of walking so many steps or exactly what you're eating. Relationships support a stronger immune system and reduce inflammation in the body. And then social benefits. So you're probably more likely to seek adventure and enjoyment beyond your comfort zone in the presence of a friend, which can be infinitely life enhancing. And I can think about some of my most fun adventures have been when I've shared that with a friend. We've done something together. We've gone on a course together. I did a course earlier this year with my really good friend Yuli from Hamburg. And that was just amazing. It brought us so close together because we had to do homework together. We had to share exercises, and Yuli has become a so much closer friend to me through that whole experience. You improve your social skills and confidence, and it may even serve the wider community as you step out into the world and build connections with those around you. Okay, so have a think about, in your life, where can you improve your connections? What might that look like? Where are you now? Notice the kind of energy exchange in your relationships. Think about if you're listening too much and you're not sharing enough of your own stuff, where can you start to foster those friendships and become more vulnerable? Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're not following me already on Instagram, do seek me out at the Eating Disorder Therapist _. And for further support with your relationship with food, do go to the eatingdisordertherapist.co.uk. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'll be so grateful if you'd follow, rate and review, as it helps it reach so many more listeners. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing another podcast episode with you very soon.